Well, are you planning a trip to Kaziranga National Park anytime soon? Well, now is the best time for you to visit the world-famous heritage site, as there are 200 more one-horned rhinos now strolling in the lush greens of Kaziranga. For time being, let us take you on a tour to know how the newly formed anti-rhino poaching task force is protecting the rhinos 24/7. Watch this exclusive report.
If you are planning to visit the Kaziranga National Park this summer, we have good news for you. The mighty one-horned rhino will be in abundance. The national park is now home to 200 more one-horned rhinos, a reality which was not the case 4 years back. Well, this is what the latest census conducted from the 25th to the 28th of March at a rhino-bearing area of 864 square kilometers has to say. The number of rhinos has increased to 2,613 from 2,413 back in 2018, clearly indicating that there has been a stark reduction in poaching activities. The credit for this undoubtedly goes to the Assam government's conservation and anti-poaching efforts, spearheaded by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, whose zero-tolerance policy against poaching is finally bearing the desired results. So what led to this increase, and what are the factors that made it possible? Now, considering that it was a mammoth task to counter highly equipped poachers, with some even having links to insurgent outfits, the government had to act fast to protect the pachyderms. And the first step to achieve this goal was the formation of the Anti-Rhino Poaching Task Force, or ARPFT, in 2021 to curb rhino poaching in Kaziranga, headed by Special DGP Law and Order GP Singh. In other words, Singh was tasked with the responsibility to ensure safety of the rhinos by leading a 500-strong team comprising of Assam Police Commandos, Assam Forest Protection Force, Special Rhino Protection Force and Forest Guards. The teams have been equipped with modern arms and equipment to face the poachers head-on. This is in contrast to the traditional .35 mm rifles used by them earlier. Northeast Live's Joydeep Hazarika caught up with Special DGP GP Singh for an exclusive chat to know more about the nuances of the Anti-Rhino Poaching Task Force in its mission to protect the rhinos. Singh said, the ARPFT has been formed with 3 basic goals. The first one relates to preventive action against poaching, followed by bringing the poachers to book. Another objective of the task force is to coordinate with the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and police teams of neighboring states in operations against poachers.
There was a meeting which was chaired by the Honorable Chief Minister, and one of the important decisions of that was that there would be a reconstitution and empowering of the Assam Anti-Rhino Poaching Task Force. And this task force basically takes action, preventive action for the purpose of prevention of poaching in Kaziranga. Then it also ensures that wherever poaching takes place, there the poachers are taken to task, they are brought to law. And then a very significant aspect of this task force is that it coordinates with Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and with various other state police organizations like Nagaland, Manipur.
Let us now take you on a tour inside the Kaziranga National Park, where our correspondent Ranjit Rajak spoke to personnel of the Anti-Rhino Poaching Task Force. Additional SP of Kaziranga, Dhrubajyoti Nath, informed Northeast Live that poaching has been the biggest threat for years now, but the scenario has changed mainly due to the joint efforts of forest guards, police personnel, commandos, and inclusion of high-tech weapons such as AK series rifles and INSAS, to name a few. He also added the police teams from neighboring 5 districts have also been actively involved in the operations.
What is the reason of increasing of rhino population in Kaziranga National Park?
Poaching has been the biggest threat and reason for this one conservation and protection in national park, and nowadays this poaching activity has drastically reduced, and it is because of the joint effort of forest staff, police, and modernization of forest staff and police, and introducing battalion forces in Kaziranga National Park.
How many police forces now deployed in Kaziranga National Park?
Now, earlier also police involved in protection and conservation system, because these cases like Wildlife Protection Act, those cases are handled by forest staff. If armed weapons are involved in those cases, is taken by police forces. So 5 districts, surrounding 5 districts and 5 district police has been involved in protection and wildlife crimes, tackling the wildlife crime forces also. And now recently we introduced commando forces. This last unfortunate incident that we have one poaching activities in this year, January of this year, and 20 numbers of commando battalions are introduced, both the bank, northern side and southern side, and they are doing anti-poaching duties.
How many AFPF, 2nd AFPF and 1st AFPF battalion in Kaziranga National Park now?
Forest battalion, they are commanded by police force, one commandant from police side, and they train as a police, and they train for special duty in forest, tackling this poaching activities. Nowadays, 2nd forest police protection force, they are about 260 personnel are deployed in Kaziranga. Those poachers are linked with various terrorist group, and some poachers are ex-militant also. Yes. So they taking sophisticated weapon, and we have found M60 like weapon also. So they carrying AK M16 like weapon. So for general training is not possible to tackle such type of sophisticated terrorists. We call terrorists like terrorist come poachers. So that's why this battalion party and commando battalions are, I think, they're well equipped to handle this type of activities.
Likewise, another forest guard pointed out that since commandos are not really acquainted with the terrain of Kaziranga, they are assisted by forest guards at all times.
After the last poaching, the forest department and the police department all together, they have done a meeting, and they have given the commando forces also. Where, along with the commando forces, they don't know the areas nicely, so our forest guards also join with them during the foot patrolling, and all of them do the patrolling duty so nicely, and they cover the actually entire Brahmaputra side areas. They cover the place very nicely.
Let us also hear from the commandos and other personnel as well, who are working round the clock to protect the one-horned rhinos. Armed with sophisticated weapons, the bravehearts are fully confident that they can thwart any attempt by the poachers.
With me, the 10 commando in Eastern Wildlife Division. They are doing duty in Kaziranga National Park, 10 commando. And the AFPF, Assam Forest Protection Force, 2nd Assam Forest Protection Force, and the SRPF, Special Rhino Protection Force. Hatot etu ki arms hoy?
To AK policeman hoy, arms to. Etu duty kora hoy.
Surang sikai jete apun dekhibo. When you see the poachers inside the Kaziranga National Park, first, what is your duty first?
First, dekhile to direct shoot kora hobo aru mara hobo ta.
Apuna hatot AK-47?
AK-47 series, automatic attack.
Keneka duty kora bhitor?
Duty amar patrolling jo hoy. Maje maje ami ambush koru. Jifale extreme aha ba etu rhino maribor karone jibilak extremist bhitor somai yoto kami challenge korar karone ami ambush koru, patrolling koru. Itia bortoman to pani na ami bali khoskati kori boru.
The poachers যিবিলাক আহে চোৰাং চিকাৰী তেওঁলোকে অত্যাধুনিক মৰণাস্ত্ৰ লৈ আহে তেওঁলোকে বিৰুদ্ধে যুঁজ দিয়াটো কিমান আপোনালোকৰ সম্ভৱ আপোনালোকে যেটো উগ্ৰপন্থীৰ বিৰুদ্ধে যুঁজ দি আহিছে
আমি এটো সহজ বুলি ভাবো ইমান কেয়াৰ নকৰো ইহঁতক আমি সিহঁতৰ লগত যুঁজিবৰ কাৰণে সদায় হাজু
আপুনি পোচাৰ্ছৰ চোৰাং চিকাৰীৰ বিৰুদ্ধে মুখামুখি হৈছিল কেতিয়া হৈছিল কি হৈছিল ঘটনাটো ক'ব নি?
এতিয়া হেৰি 28ত হৈছিলে, ডিচেম্বৰ 28ত হোৱাৰ পিছত আমি মুখামুখি আমাৰ এজনে হ'ল, তাৰপিছতে ফাইন কৰা কৰি হ'ল। হোৱাৰ পিছত সিহঁতে জংঘলত সোমাই দিলে। তাৰপিছত মোলৈ ফোন কৰিলে, এনেকৈ তেনেকৈ চিকাৰী দেখিলোঁ বুলি। আমাৰ নিজৰ যিটো এলেকাত যোনটো ছাইডেদি চিকাৰী ওলাই যায়, সেইটো গোটেইটো মানে প্ৰটেকশ্যন চিল কৰিলোঁ। কৰি তাৰপিছতে ঘূৰা পকা কৰি 5জন চিকাৰী খোজ পালোঁ, ফেচ খোজ পালোঁ। পোৱাৰ লগতে আমাৰ অফিচলৈ জনালোঁ, ওপৰলৈ জনালোঁ। জনোৱাৰ পিছত সকলো পাৰ্টি গৈ পেলাই আমি 4-5 দিন তাত এম্বুজ দিলোঁ। এম্বুজ দি মানে নহয় ওলাই গুচি যোৱা পিছত 4-5 দিনৰ পিছতো ওলাই গুচি গ'ল। যোৱাৰ পিছত ঠাণ্ডা পৰিলে, পৰি তেনেকাতে এটা চিকাৰী পানীত পৰি পেলাই মৰা আমি মানে গম পালোঁ।
He is a casual forest guard of Kaziranga National Park explaining about the experience of facing with the poachers.
It may be mentioned here that over 10 poachers have been arrested only this year alone. This also includes a dreaded poacher who was nabbed from Kerala back in February. According to Special DGP GP Singh, the international demand for animal body parts plays a major role in poaching. He said that the main objective is to ensure poaching does not take place and animal parts never reach the markets outside India.
It's a big challenge. Investigations have revealed that most of the poaching takes place for animal parts to be taken to neighboring countries. And we have been getting information in our investigation that it has been traveling to China through Myanmar, crossing Assam and then Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. So we have to have first the core work that Assam Police and Forest has to do is to ensure that poaching doesn't take place, poachers do not come in, or if at all poaching takes place, this poached products are not allowed to be taken out.
However, Singh said that the combined efforts of the Forest Department as well as the civil society living at the periphery of Kaziranga have played a pivotal role in rhino conservation. He pointed out that while it is important to involve the civil society in the conservation efforts, great care must also be taken to ensure that rhinos can also move freely within the ecological spaces of Kaziranga and nearby.
It has been possible largely because of very close coordination and active involvement of the forest officials who are deployed there in the Kaziranga. Then the civil society, especially the dwellers in the peripheral areas of Kaziranga National Park, because they are the real custodians of Kaziranga National Park and the animal life and plant life there. And third, of course, is the police, which has very actively cooperated and coordinated with the stakeholders. The civil society has to ensure that rhino or all the animals in Kaziranga are part of their ecosystem, so they have to live together. So that is also a very, very important part. So I think that by taking all these measures, we should be able to take adequate measures to keep rhino safe. Many a times, rhino comes to area which is human habitation or also which is rhino movement path, especially when it is moving during floods from the plains to hills.
The success story of the increase in the population of rhinos is clear testimony of the committed approach of the Himanta Biswa Sharma-led Assam government in protecting its world-famous one-horned rhinos and making Kaziranga a safe haven for the pachyderms. With Ranjit Rajak in Kaziranga and Joydeep Hazarika in Guwahati, Bureau Report, Northeast Live.